While Excel has created functions for counting cases and finding the mean of a variable for cases that satisfy specified criteria, there are no similar functions for generating other descriptive statistics. Instead, to find the median, standard deviation, and other statistics for a subset of data, we will need to use the if function along with existing functions for these other statistics. Beginning with the median, what we'll do here now is click under the female column next to the median label, and I will begin to type in equal median. So I'm using the median function, open parenthesis. Now at this point what we're going to do is embed an if statement within this median function statement. If, open parenthesis, and what we will do is identify the criterion range equal and what value of the criterion we'll use for selecting cases. So in cells B2 through B18 contain the information for an individual sex equal, and we're selecting then cases that satisfy the criterion of female. Now you notice we actually use the equal sign here not as part of the criterion but instead as a mathematical operator. So it's a different syntax than what we saw we used with the average if and also count if functions. Comma, and now we'll specify the data range that we'll be using here. And this is going to be exam 1 data range. So we're going to find then the median for exam 1 for those cases that have a sex value of equal to female. Now close parenthesis, and what this does is completes then the if statement, but the if statement is embedded within the median function, so now I have to add a second parenthesis to close then the median function. Now we're done entering in this syntax for finding the median for only cases that have sex values of female. Resist the temptation at this point to press enter. What we'll need to do is enter this formula as an array formula. And if you recall in previous videos I mentioned, to enter an array formula, if you're using a PC, press and hold down the Control and Shift keys and press the Enter key. And that enters it as an array formula. If you're using a Mac, hold down the Command key and then press Enter. We'll do the same thing here now for males. Equal median, open parenthesis. We will embed now the if statement inside the median function. If, open parenthesis. Again, the same data range for the criterion. Equal, and now the criterion value is male. Close your double quotation marks, comma, and now we will highlight the information for the variable that we want to find the median of. Close parenthesis in order to complete then the if statement, and then close parenthesis to complete the median statement. Now we'll enter it as an array formula. Control Shift and then press Enter, or hold down the Command key and press Enter if you have a Mac. Now what I've done is just demonstrated how to compute the median for only select cases when using one criterion, but there may be situations where you may want to use more than one criterion. And let me just show you very briefly how you can use the median or any of the other functions we'll show below when you have multiple criteria for case selection. We'll start off and I'll find the median for women who are 25 years of age and older in this class. Equal median, the function, open parenthesis. Now we'll start our first if statement. If, open parenthesis, highlight the range, of course, where the criterion information is kept, equal, and we'll select individuals who are female, comma. Now what we'll want to do is to specify the second criterion. If, and we'll highlight the range for age greater than or equal to 25. And since we have a strict mathematical comparison here, I don't need to put the 25 in between double quotations, but you could, comma. Now we'll highlight the data range that contains the information that we want to find the median of, that variable exam 1. And now one parenthesis, one right parenthesis to close the second if statement, a second parenthesis to close the first if statement, and then a third parenthesis to close the median function statement. And again, Control Shift press enter to enter it as an array formula, which we see up in the formula bar. This is an array formula. Now we can continue to embed additional criteria into this kind of command by having nested if statements after if statement after if statement in the exact same way that I've done it. I just want to show you that we can be more general than what we'll do in the rest of this tutorial. Let me go ahead and delete this, and now we'll move on and demonstrate how we find the other statistics for select groups in this tutorial. We will follow the same process for finding the minimum and maximum exam scores separately for women and men. So to find the minimum value, I'll use the min function, equal min, open parenthesis, begin the if statement, open parenthesis, identify the criterion range, equal, and now the criterion value, comma, and now we'll highlight the data range, the range that contains the variable that we want to find the minimum value of for women. One close parenthesis or right parenthesis to close or finish the if statement, and a second one to finish the minimum function statement. Holding down Control and Shift keys, I will press the Enter key, or for a Mac, Command and press Enter. Do the same thing for men. Now my two parentheses or round brackets, if you will, and enter as an array formula. Use the max function. Highlight the range of the criterion variable, equal, and the criterion we want to satisfy is female, comma. Now I'll highlight the range, the data range that contains then the variable exam 1, one parenthesis to close the if function, and a second to finish out the max function. Holding down Control and Shift, I'll press Enter to enter in then the function or the formula as an array formula, and I'll do the same thing for males. Now parentheses to finish this up, and again enter this formula as an array formula. Control Shift, pressing Enter, or Command Enter if you have a Mac. Now I can find the range, maximum minus minimum, and here I can simply autofill that formula over for men. So there's a difference between the highest and lowest scores for women of 19.8 points in the exam and 27.8 points between the highest and lowest for men for this exam. Now, one thing I haven't mentioned thus far is how we can discern whether or not we have properly entered in our formulas as array formulas. First of all, if we did not enter them in as array formulas for median, min, and max entries here, we would see an error message, not a value reported. But if we click on any one of those cells and look up at the formula bar, we'll notice then that the entire formula that we've entered is contained inside a pair of curly brackets, and that those curly brackets then is what indicates that we have an array formula. So you notice the medians, the mins, the max functions all have the curly brackets around them. Where we see then range does not, mean does not, because we use the average if function, and n does not, or the count does not. Again, we used a count if function. Now let's find the same information separately for women and men for this exam in terms of standard deviation. Equal STDEV dot S for using the sample standard deviation formula, open parenthesis, if, open parenthesis, identify the criterion range equals, type in the criterion value between double quotation marks, comma, and now the data range. Close up that function and enter as an array formula. And we'll do the same thing here for men. Equal STDEV dot S using the sample formula. If, open parenthesis, highlight the criterion range, equal, and inside double quotation marks, the criterion value for selecting cases, comma, and then the range that contains the data that we want to find the standard deviation for. One parenthesis closes off and completes the if statement, and a second completes the standard deviation statement. Now enter as an array formula with Control, Shift, and Enter. And right there we have it. And I'll go ahead to make this consistent. I'll reduce the number of decimal points so that they both have 2 decimal points. So men, as we saw with range, have a little wider variation than we see with women. Now we can follow the exact same process for any function that we have within Excel. And why don't I just add one more statistical function here that we may be interested in, and that is whether or not our distributions for men and women are symmetric. So I'll type in skew, whether or not we have a skewed distribution. And we'll use the Excel function equal skew, open parenthesis, if, second parenthesis is opened up to begin the if statement, highlight your data range that contains the range that contains your criterion variable or information, equal, and the criterion value is female, comma, now we'll highlight the data range, close parenthesis to complete the if statement, close parenthesis to complete then the skew statement, and enter as an array formula. And we'll do the same thing here for men. So even if I have not shown you how to embed an if statement in another function that you're interested in completing for individual groups, you would follow the same process. And right there we have it. We see that men have a bit more skew in their data than do the women in this case. And there you have it. Descriptive statistics for a subset of cases. While we looked at computing descriptive statistics for two categories, in this case male and female, the same approach can be taken for computing descriptive statistics for 3 or more groups. In the third tutorial in this series demonstrating how to compute descriptive statistics by groups, I will take a look at what happens when missing data exists for the variable for which the descriptive statistics are being computed. Hope you have found this tutorial helpful.